Okay, so where was I?
Uh, there was something about the roommate. You
The
texted
juice,
him
right?
about.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. He had to fuck this fat ass ugly bitch and didn't get a goddamn dime.
Oh my.
I'm pretty fucking sure because no word was mentioned of paying the rent. So I went through that shit for fucking nothing, right? And he ends up leaving the next night. I was
Yeah.
gone. I was gone for a little while because I was just so mad that I like slept over at the homie's house, right? Shout out to Goner. I slept over at his house. I go back, and that was also when I did my 24-hour live stream. I think
Oh shit.
I streamed for a whole 14 hours, I believe. I don't remember.
Uh,
So I did that, and then I passed out at his house for like 3 hours, and then went back. I walked the whole 2.5 miles and shit. And
yeah.
I'm like, okay, I'm fucking hungry. Let me see. We still have a little bit of food and shit, but he ate all the bread in like 2, 3 days. Which it was fucking all my hamburgers, buns, and a whole loaf of sandwich bread. How the fuck do you eat all the goddamn bread? And he ate all the fucking noodles, and then he drank both of my gallons of juice without asking me if he could have any of it. My fucking juice. So I'm mad as shit, I go to work. I'm texting him at like 5, 6 a.m. And I'm like, yeah, and I got it at Walmart. So the Minute Maid wasn't $4 like normal, thankfully. I could charge him the $4 so I could go to my local store to buy it, but I'm like, I'll be
Mm-hmm.
nice. So I texted him, and this is exactly what I said, right? I was nice.
Yeah.
I'm not charging him the $4 that the local stores charge. I'm like, okay, I'll
Mm-hmm.
just hang on to it. Maybe I can go to Walmart next week, because it's in a different city, and I don't have a car. But so fuck it. I was like, hey, you left an empty carton of juice in my fridge. And that's some disrespectful shit. So I told him exactly. I was like, you're going to run me my $2, right? For a replacement juice. And he's
Uh,
like, he hits me back with all this attitude. He's like, man, this ain't going to work. You're going to have to get the fuck out, man. I'm starting to notice you have this really bad attitude problem and shit. And you already know my sister's going to be moving in with us because she has no place to live now. And I want you to know, he said she might, but that it was a 40% chance and that he would update me. He never said for a fact she
mm-hmm.
was coming in and shit. And then he drops the bomb on me, and then my daughter's going to be staying with me too, and I can't trust you with them when I'm not there at the house, and she's not going to feel comfortable with you, and you're
Bro,
all
I would
aggressive and
just
shit, so you got to fucking get out my house.
I would have just left and then just told the baby mom was like,
No,
he's
well,
cheating.
I wish I had her fucking like. I don't care about the baby mama because they're not actually together. I wish that I had his girlfriend's
Oh, not.
Instagram.
Oh, then never mind.
I wish I had his
Ah,
girlfriend's Instagram so I could say, yo, he fucked a fat bitch for money and he's cheating on you with his baby mama and like three other bitches.
okay, yeah, that would have made it.
So, which, you know, the two friends who were able to hear this story, they were saying the same thing. Like, if only you had her Instagram or something.
Yeah.
So, if any of you guys could track down. No, I'm kidding. But yeah, so he's trying to kick me out, and I'm like, first of all, I pay rent. You're not kicking anybody out. I'm moving when the fuck I feel like moving and shit. Like,
Hmm.
I'm on the goddamn lease. And he's like, no, you're not on the lease. You're just a guarantor, which is a supporter and shit. And then
Uh-huh.
I'm like, I'm at fucking work. I don't have time for this show. I'm just not even opening his messages anymore. And he keeps
Uh-huh.
flooding me talking shit. And then he'll take like 20-minute breaks and sending me more messages talking shit. I'm like,
Hmm.
this motherfucker. So 2 whole hours later, and I'm still getting messages. I'm like, you really spent your
Hmm.
whole ass morning talking shit. So I'm like, all right, whatever. I pop them open, and he just sends me a screenshot texting the landlord where she's like, yeah, he's on the lease as a guarantor. Which I'm like, that's still me being on the lease, you fucking dumbass. But
Yeah.
whatever. So he is like, if you don't leave by next month, I'm gonna be calling the cops. Don't make this worse than it has to be. It doesn't have to be this way. really trying to talk shit to me right now. So
Yeah.
I make a couple of phone calls and shit. And
Yeah.
I text the landlord. I'm like, yo, to let you know, because I know you expect me to make up for all the money he can't afford to pay you. He's jobless right now. I have a fucking job and shit. He's harboring all types of bacteria because he still never washed any of those clothes, right?
Oh, man.
And he did one load of laundry at his girl's house, and he had to use my laundry supplies to do it. So this fucking bum, he's really, and he tried to like cheap shot, bro. I was like, I don't have a fucking attitude. Like, you just can't clean up after yourself. You're 20 goddamn 6 and you can't wash a fucking bowl. And he's like, look, man, you're 26 and you can't wash your own fucking dishes. And this motherfucker really had the nerve. No, he really had the fucking nerve to say, my dad just died and you're trying to press me in my own house about juice. You're using your dead father as an excuse for drinking fucking juice? For not washing your goddamn dishes? You're a bitch. So
you could tell he's not.
So I snitch on him to the landlord. I snitch on him to the landlord, and I'm like, yo, he's a male prostitute. I sent him a screenshot of I sent her a screenshot of our conversation, and I said he's going to break the lease and let people live, not stay the night, live there who aren't on the lease, which is a violation of the contract. And he's putting everyone in the building, including the manager, who is an elderly woman, and her sick, dying husband at risk of corona, constantly bringing people in and out, which is a violation of the stay-at-home quarantine laws that have been put in place by the state of California. I'm moving out. I'm being kicked out of the house. You're not getting any more money from me. Here's all the evidence. I'll see you later. And I think that, and she's on his fucking side because she's like, oh, I have nothing to do with this. And she didn't do shit. He's breaking 4 fucking laws and you're not doing shit. So now you're an accomplice to his crimes. So I have that evidence against you and him when I take this to court, when I find myself a lawyer. But fast forward to moving day, right? He still won't shut the fuck up talking shit. You don't have to do this. It didn't have to be this way, Eric, but you're forcing my hand. So I'm like, hey, run me the $50 that your bum ass couldn't pay for your fucking Wi-Fi that you said you were going to pay me back, and run me the $100 for my fucking refrigerator, and I'll be out before you know it. So I moved the next day. I pull up with my boy. I slept over at somebody else's house that night, and I pull up the next morning. And we're getting ready to pack our shit, right? So I'm deflating the mattress, breaking down my desk. And of course, he's such a... Oh, no, okay. So the reason I had to sleep over, before I fast forward too much, I come home, right? And thank God my boy was waiting for me downstairs because I was going to give him this AC that I bought. Because I'm not going to leave his ass with it. Fuck him. So I walk, and he knows. I told you. He knows my exact schedule. So he brought a bitch over and started fucking her when he knew I was going to be home. And all that shit he was talking all morning and didn't say a word. He just looked at me and hid under the fucking blankets until I was gone. Petty. So I go. I'm out. Right? I sleep the night at my friend's house. I tell him what's going on. And I'm back the next morning to collect my shit. He's still sitting on the couch, not saying a thing. And we had agreed, too, that he wasn't going to touch any of my shit. Because I'm like, I don't have a problem with your family. Because I don't know them. So it's stupid of me and immature of me to hold a grudge, right? So if your sister and your daughter needs food, they're allowed to use whatever I got. But you better not touch shit that I have. Don't touch any of that fucking food because I bought the food. And he's like, wait, didn't you eat up my whole bag of cereal? Didn't you finish it? I said, no. We both shared that fucking bag that I bought for $6. It was a whole fucking big ass 2-foot long bag of cereal that we both shared that you said was for us. And I bought a second 2-foot bag that I let you eat out of. And you ate half of it. So he's like, man, whatever. I just want you out my house. Fucking bitch. So we're trying to pack up all of our stuff, right? Or
He's still trying.
John is trying to help me pack. This guy's being a bitch, not saying shit. And then he
Yeah.
turns around. He's like, "Hey, so on Sunday I'll have that $50 for the Wi-Fi, and I'll also give you $100 if you let me keep the fridge, so that you don't have to move it, quote unquote, so that you have less to carry." Trying to pretend that he's being considerate. And I looked him in the fucking eye. I said, "No, that's my fucking fridge. I paid for that shit. It's coming with me. Fuck you." And he gets mad.
Yeah.
He gets mad. So he jumps over the couch. He's like, "Okay, if it's going to be like that." So he starts taking his shit out of both of my fridges, unplugging them and shit, and he's pushing them towards us. And we're both ignoring it. We're just focusing on putting our shit. He sees that I'm trying to fold the air mattress, and he's pushing it at us. So it's like pushing all the shit that we have on the floor, and he's trying to physically push us out the door using the fridges. And then he goes into the kitchen and he starts taking all of my shit and dropping it on the fucking floor. All my plates, all my utensils. And I'm like, "Yo, I told you not to touch any of my goddamn shit. Hey, man, you got to hurry the fuck up and move because I got company coming." And I said, "It's going to take a while and there's only 2 of us. You need to chill the fuck out and stop touching my goddamn shit. We'll get to it when we get to it. We're doing the living room first. My fucking plates don't belong on the floor. That's filthy like your bum ass, and I'm not dirty that way." So I pick up my fucking plates and I put them on the counter. And he's all like, "Hey, no, you gotta go. You need to understand when it's time for you to leave, man." So he picks them up and he's like,
"What the fuck? That's
what
you're doing, though."
So I snatched the plates out of his hand, and I look him in the fucking eye and I said, "I told your bitch ass not to touch my shit. Put them on the fucking counter." So I turn around and he pushes me when I'm fucking facing away from him because he's too much of a bitch to push me when I'm looking him in the eye. And he pushed me so fucking hard that I fell over. The whole refrigerator almost crushed my boy's toes if I hadn't caught that bitch.
Bro, I would have just
So then,
that right there.
no. So then I turn around. And I don't do shit. I don't even assume the stance. I turn around, and he's in his little fucking punk ass boxing position with his feet and shit, and he has his hands up. I'm like, okay, perfect. And I knew it was gonna happen. So rewind time, right? Okay. 200 IQ, Shikamaru Nara status. When he was pushing the refrigerators at us, I opened my phone on the low, and I went into my contacts, and I opened my father's contact and gave it to my boy Jonathan, and I was pointing at the call signal. So he stepped out to call my dad, and my dad was on his way. He was already on the freeway when we were getting down. So then he comes back in.
Shit.
He comes back in. So he comes back in and puts my dad on speaker so that they can both be a witness. 200 shit. IQ. So this motherfucker put hands on me first, and I turn around, and he has his hands up. But I know he's a punk-ass bitch. That whole time he's been in the military, he thinks he's hard and shit. I didn't even swing. I reached in, and I grabbed him by the fucking neck on some Undertaker shit, and he couldn't do anything. And with one fucking arm, I pull him towards me, and I got his ass in a fucking headlock like my little brother and shit. And he doesn't even swing. He's like flailing his arms around, swinging them like crazy and shit. And I'm just holding him in a chokehold, and he can't do a goddamn thing. He didn't.
Please tell me you passed him out. Please tell me you passed him out.
So he didn't do shit, like a fucking punk ass bitch. And I'm holding him there, and I'm like, all right, don't use too much force, you know. I don't want to be fucking charged. No, hold up, because you don't want to be. Because even if it's self-defense, you could still go to jail if you use too much force. So I'm trying to be smart about this shit. But we're flailing around. He's trying to like make me let go of him, but he's too weak. I slam him against the brick wall, then slam him against the oven, then bring him back and choke him again and hold him under my arm again and shit. And he's getting his ass fucking beat. And he still has the nerve to talk shit. Eric, it doesn't have to be this way, man. Man, you don't know what you've done now. You fucking done it now. It didn't have to come to this point. And in the middle of him talking, like I lean in. I lean in real close to his ear and I say, tell me you're not going to touch my shit. It doesn't have to be. So I lean into his
It keeps
ear.
cutting out. It keeps cutting out. It keeps cutting out.
Okay, can you hear me?
I'm saying repeat it.
Can you
Oh,
hear me?
yeah, I'm just saying repeat it.
Okay,
Yes.
okay.
Repeat.
So I was saying that like I lean into his ear and I'm like, it's my turn to talk shit now. You're getting your ass beat.
All right.
And he was still talking shit. So I choked him harder in the middle of his sentence. So I lean in and I'm like, tell me that you're not gonna touch my shit. I said it just like that. In that like whisper.
Tell me you're what?
Tell me you're not gonna touch my shit.
Oh, okay.
And he's like, it doesn't have to be. Because then I push my arm upward. So now I'm crushing his Adam's apple. And I said, tell me you're not. And honestly, like, if I wanted to kill him, I could have. Because with all, he knocked over all my shit. So I had my knives. I had my knives right there on the counter. If I wanted to, I could have stabbed him in the spine, paralyzed for life at the minimum. When we were messing around or like when I'm slamming him around everywhere, fucking the oven is on. Like all the lights are on and the fire is on. I could have fucking dragged him into the fire if I wanted to. I could have done a lot. And I'm being nice and shit. And my dad's yelling at me over the phone, telling me to calm the fuck down. So I'm nice enough to let this motherfucker go. And he still comes at me trying to swing. So without even looking at him, at him, I'm only looking at my homie. I'm talking to my dad on the phone. And I'm like, hey, dad, hang on. Not looking at this punk ass bitch. I reach out with one arm and I grab him by the fucking neck again. And then with and then you know that thing on cartoons where when the short person tries to hit you and the big guy just holds his arm out and they can't do shit?
Yeah.
It was that, but then I fucking slam him against the other brick wall. He's against the window, and with my thumb, I press on his Adam's apple so he can't speak. I said, shut the fuck up. All right, Dad, what were you saying? What was that, Dad? I'm sorry. I'm a little busy right now. So I'm choking him out with one arm, and I'm talking to my dad on the phone with my other arm.
You guys should have just laid him down and just sat on him while you're pressing on his ass.
Honestly, and so my dad was like, "Hey, come outside. I'm almost there." So we went outside, and he's like, "I'm gonna call the fucking police on you, bro." And I looked at him, and I was like, "Go a fucking head."
Wait, repeat it. Cut off.
He was saying like he's like trying to talk shit still. He's like, I'm gonna call the police, man, and they'll be here soon, and I'm gonna take your ass to jail. And I'm like, go ahead, I'll wait right here.
You should have just called a cop on him.
Exactly. Honestly. No, exactly. But he's gonna call them for me, so fuck it. I'll just go outside and wait. And I went outside. True. My dad showed up. So my dad's talking shit to him the whole time and making sure that he doesn't lock us out while we move all the shit into the two cars. And the cops are there. And when I go upstairs, he's like, oh, okay, no, on our way downstairs, he runs into the kitchen and he's crying and he grabs my knife. And not just a regular knife, not a regular kitchen knife, my slicing knife that's meant to cut whole ass portions of meat like the butchers and shit. So it's 7 inches long. And he runs out with a 7-inch blade, my blade, because he couldn't even go grab his own, and he's swinging it at us.
It might. Wait, hold on, my bad. My earphones.
Yeah, it's your earphones. So he grabs a 7-inch blade and he's swinging it at us, and he's like, "I'm gonna stab," but he's such a bitch, and he's crying. Right, you can hear it in his voice. He's such a bitch, and he's so scared of me that he threatened my homie. Instead of trying to come at me, trying to stab me, he was threatening my boy.
Nah, at that point, nah. You just go ahead and kill him.
I wanted to, but I'm like, I'm gonna listen to my dad, but I didn't have to do anything because the hallway has cameras, so you see him on. So I'm telling you, I'm 200 IQ. So I go outside and I'm walking away peacefully, and I'm telling my friend, hey. Just come on.
Put him in jail. Sue the manager.
Let's just
get
come
rich.
on. Let's come on. And you have him on camera screaming, "I'm gonna stab you and destroy all of your stuff and just get away from my door. I'll stab you."
Damn.
So We have that shit on camera, and we move all of our shit.
Uh-huh.
Eventually, we pack up all the 2 cars. They're completely full, and the police finally want to talk, right? And the whole time he's like,
Yeah.
"Hey, West, you got to give me back the key, man. The landlord's asking." And I said, "The manager's downstairs. If she wants the key back, she can ask for it her goddamn self. Shut the fuck up and let me do my goddamn thing."
Yeah, true. Because I mean, he's not the one that's supposed
Exactly.
to be
So
asking for it.
so then she eventually asked for it, but only at the end of everything. And the police are like,
Yeah.
"Hey, is everything okay? What's going on?" I don't say a word. I just
Nah,
stand. I don't say a word. I stand there, right? I stand there.
Mm-hmm.
And he finally comes out. He's like, "Oh yeah, everything's fine, but I want to press charges because this man assaulted me in my own home." And so he gives his little bitch ass story and shit. I don't say a word.
Mm-hmm.
And the officer looks at me, and he looks back at Joseph, and he's like, "All right, that's fine. We can press charges if you want, but I want you to know this. I'm also going to ask for his side of the story. And if he says that you assaulted him, then you're both going to jail. So are you sure you want to do this?" Never mind. I just want my key back." And then he goes inside. "I have shit to do today."
You should have told him like he had an ass.
Pussy. He knew I was going
Bro, I
to
would've
eat
been
my
like-
case.
Like if we're both getting kicked out, you going to jail. I don't care.
No,
You
so,
going to jail.
okay, well, here's
You
the
ain't that,
thing.
you going to jail.
Well, here's the thing, though. We move and everything.
Yeah.
My dad, he's getting a little bit old, so he didn't hear when I said all the clothes in that closet were mine. So I have 2 suits and all my basketball jerseys that he passed down to me, and a Moses Malone jersey from the fucking St. Louis Spirits. That team doesn't even exist anymore.
Oh shit.
And that jersey, all my jerseys are worth $100 each, and my 2 suits are worth $100, and my ties are worth $20 to $50 each. And then I got all my shoes and shit, but then you have all my regular clothes too, and then the dress shirts and shit. And then I also have my guitar in there and my keyboard, so I can't even make music anymore. And the guitar and keyboard are both $100 minimum. So that's over $1,000 worth of shit. And he was lying to my dad like, "Oh, I went to law school. I know how the fucking leases work." And my dad's like, "Then you should know if his name's on it, then he's legally on the lease, you dumb fuck." And then he's like, fucking, it didn't really have to be this way, but don't worry, your son and I will still keep in touch. I was really a big supporter of his music. He shared 2 songs, and I've known him for a year. And he wanted to hop on a track, and his shit was ass, so he never sent me the verse.
Yeah, he knew.
He was lying to my dad
knows
left
he's
and
trash.
right. So he wasn't fucking like, he was lying about keeping in touch with me. He obviously blocked me everywhere, so I can't ask him for my shit. And I don't have the key, so I can't go in there and get my shit. So now what I have to do, one, I finally found the name of the company who owns that building because they were keeping it a secret. The landlord refused to give me, or she hasn't given me a copy of the lease and of the application that I requested for. She tried to say that the office is closed, which is a lie, because the law mandates that even during this corona pandemic, a minimum of 2 people work at the office, because otherwise you have no way of collecting money. She tried to claim that I'm not a tenant and that she never knew I was living there, which that's a lie because you collected 2 checks from me. And if I'm really not a tenant, then it's illegal to collect money from somebody who's a non-tenant. You're claiming that I'm a guarantor and that I'm a supporter, so you can take the money from me, but I was never there to sign the lease. So how did that happen? Someone had to have forged my signature, or this motherfucker paid you off. And I found the email where she asked me to sign the lease. The email is still unopened, and you can see that there's never been a response to that email conversation. So some other crime has been committed to put my name on here so that somebody could steal my credit. So I'm taking everybody to jail. And here's the other thing, which I already told you. My dad works for a lawyer by the name of Leslie Abramson, who is one of the most famous lawyers in American history.
Let's get it.
She was a lawyer during the whole Menendez trial. She was a lawyer who was around during the O.J. Simpson trial. When the Menendez brothers murdered their own parents for fun, instead of getting the death sentence, she was able to get them life in prison. So they are still alive to this day because of her. And every other case, no matter how bad of a criminal that she represented, she was also able to make sure that none of them got the death sentence. Only one person that she's defended in her entire life has gotten the death sentence. And that's who I'm calling in about 10 minutes.
That's who's gonna be your lawyer?
That's who. If she's in retirement, but she'll come out of retirement because my dad has done construction on her entire house for her and her husband.
Oh.
So she's like a really tight family friend. She's given us furniture and shit before. I have her autographed book. So I'm calling her in about an hour. And if either she's coming out of retirement, which will make the fucking papers, or she'll send me to somebody who'll handle this shit for me. So I'm coming after Joseph Johnson, and I'm coming after that entire company who owns that building, because there's a lot of illegal shit going on. But
get that lady fired. Put her in jail.
I know this was an incredible. And then my friend wants to press charges too. You know, when he steps on as my eyewitness, because a knife was waved at him and he was threatened. His life was in danger.
Yeah.
So, longest story of Afro stories there ever will be. And it's really crazy.
This one got me like, whew.
I know, dude. All my friends were pissed, but that's what I've been going through for the last 2 weeks. You know, trying to get my stuff back, trying to find lawyers and shit. So I apologize deeply for my lack of consistency with the content. I'm living back with my family, and you know, they don't leave home for school anymore since it's all online. So everyone's home. It's a little hectic, but I've still been doing my absolute hardest to get you guys daily streams. I hope you continue to support me. Thank you, Brandon, for being here for this conversation. And I'll see you guys next time. Later, people.
Bye.
In LA, they really do it for the gang. Do it like it anything. Kill your mother, kill your brother for the gang. The city